And I was like, how interesting. And I mean, I was obsessed with this video. I watched it over and over and over again. And what's fascinating about it is I think these are the little tiny things that we don't look at. We don't look at the quiet conversations. We don't look at the guy that's not making the noise. Especially when they are calm or chill or whatever, right? The hashtag just good dogs, they are still having conversations. Ah, yes, the just good dogs are still having conversations. And guess what, my friend? If you've been waiting for me to do a series on the multi-dog pack, well, you're in for a treat. We're starting it today. Let's get into it. Ready to have a calm and peaceful life with your dog without the stress of those fear-based behaviors? Hi, I'm Tracy, and I've been there, overwhelmed by all the conflicting dog training advice and unsure of what to do next. But now I help dog lovers like you simplify your life with your dog by building confidence naturally, fostering trust, and addressing those fear-based challenges. So, if you're ready, stop chopping those chicken wieners and let's get to it. Hey there, friend. It is Tracy coming off a boot camp high. If you joined me for the boot camp, fantastic. So glad that you were there. Hey, I wanted to let you know that there is still a time. If you haven't yet snagged those boot camp bonuses, you can do so. If you are interested in getting into that incredible online program, the Fearless Framework, and maybe even get some of that coaching. There were so many bonuses. You could save up to $400 if you grab the Fearless Framework with the 3 private one-on-one coaching calls, saving $400. Use the coupon code BOOTCAMP, and you're going to save $50 just off the program alone. So I'm going to tell you, head on over there. You have a few more days before that sale ends. And hey, I'm going to be flat out honest with you. I quite often forget to turn off the coupons. So even if you're listening to this late, give it a try. Just give it a try. Go to beyondobedience.ca/special and pick your package, whether it's just you just want the online community and the program, get $50 off, or if you want to add the 3 private one-on-one coaching calls with me, save yourself $400. Still use that coupon code for $50 off of that. I mean, come on, why wouldn't you? So go over to beyondobedience.ca/special, pick your package, put in the coupon code BOOTCAMP, and I cannot wait to share this journey with you, my dog-loving friend. I'll see you there. Well, hello, my dog-loving friend. It is Tracy. Welcome to Beyond Obedience, the podcast. Super duper welcome if you're brand new. And hey, if a friend shared this podcast with you, can you just give that friend a little hug for me? Just be like, this is from Tracy. She says thanks. I love it when people share the podcast with others. I really like to get this kind of stuff out to more dog lovers like you and I. So if that is you, super duper hug for you. Hug for you. All right. I am excited to announce this is something I have been planning on doing for a while. Not on the podcast, if I'm being 100. I was supposed to do a program. I just never got around to it. But I was thinking the other day, I was like, why not just do a podcast series? So you're in for a treat. I applauded that way too early. You don't even know what you're applauding yet. You're in for a treat. I am actually going to be doing a multi-podcast series called Peace in the Pack, your guide to a peaceful pack for the multi-dog home. Now I'll applause it. Yes, finally. We're going to put something together for the multi-dog home. Listen, if you know nothing about me, I will tell you that one of the things that I think I do pretty darn well, if I could toot my own horn for a second, is I do really well integrating dogs into a family or a group or a pack or whatever you want to call it. I still like to use the word pack. I don't care what the there's going to be some people that are like, dogs don't form packs, but those people are spending way too much time just arguing and not enough time just living their life. But if there's one thing that I can honestly say is that I'm really good at that. I'm really good at introducing dogs to other dogs. I'm really great at integrating dogs into a pack. I do everything very intentionally. I monitor things very intentionally. I set my life up very intentionally to really, really help dogs not only settle in and be comfortable, but feel like they are part of a pack. And so for the longest time, I'm talking before COVID, when I was doing my in-person talks, and before that got shut down by COVID, one of the talks was going to be Peace in the Pack for the multi-dog pack. Now, I will say this, even if you don't have multiple dogs in your home, I still think, I'm not saying, hey, don't listen for the next, 4 or 5 episodes. I still think you're going to glean a lot of insight about your dog's communication and how they communicate. And I will say this, there's going to be some things that I talk about in some of these episodes that actually also include conversations that dogs have with other animals and conversations that dogs have with children. So even if you only have one dog, know that this conversation that they have, dogs only know how to be dogs. Okay, that's sort of the first core concept. Dogs only know how to be dogs. So this conversation that they have and all the things that we're going to be talking about actually affects everything. This is just how they communicate, how they use levels, how they use space, how they use possessionary discussions. It doesn't matter if it's with a dog, a person, a child, a cat, a chicken. They're going to communicate the only way they know how to communicate. And that's what we're going to be talking about. So even if you are like, I only have one dog, so I'm just going to skip these next episodes, I would recommend just check them out. And if that is you, see now if you can see those conversations happening in real time in your home with your family, with your children, with, you have your grandchildren over, you'll start to see the things that I'm talking about when I talk about blending dogs together and how they coexist. So I thought for this very first episode, I wanted to talk about a concept that has come up recently in some of our discussions. Actually, it came up in the boot camp as well, but it's come up in the Fearless framework in our student community. We've been talking a little bit about this idea, and that is that the problem child isn't always, and quite frequently isn't, the actual problem when it comes to canine conversations. What? Yeah, I know. It's true. And I've seen it time and time again, especially when I've gone to go into people's homes and help them with their multi-dog conversations. Necessarily, and quite often isn't the problem. They are actually responding, quite often isn't the problem. They are actually responding, reacting to either previous conversations that they've had that no one's listened to, or the conversations currently going on in their home. And in a lot of cases, when we're talking about extreme reactions that have come out of quote unquote nowhere, that is usually conversations that have been going on for a while, that this dog has been like, all right, that's it. I've reached my limit. I can't take it anymore. And now this is going to be my response to it. And so I thought I'd start with that one because I think it's more common than we than we realize. I like to think of it as, like, you think about two kids yelling, and you go and you stop the child that's yelling the loudest, and they turn to you and say, but he pulled my hair first. Right? We're only scolding the one that screams, but we're not talking to the one that actually pulled the hair that caused the screaming. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to give you an example, and I hope Jamie doesn't mind. Jamie is one of our incredible members in the Fearless Framework. She's an ambassador of the Fearless Framework now. But Jamie came into the community with, she's got three dogs. She came in with Daisy, who we were suspecting that she was the one that was the issue. Daisy's the one that she's been working the longest with. She came in with some anxieties and a whole bunch, like a laundry list of stuff, which Jamie had been working on for a long time before I met her. So all this focus had been put on Daisy, we're working on all these things. She's got all of these problems, and we're working on them. And the one day, Jamie had sent in a video for me to observe, and what we were looking at was Jamie's body language and how she was communicating with Daisy. If you just recently got off the boot camp with me, you know that I talk a lot about focusing more on what our body language is saying to our dogs rather than hyper focusing on dog body language. We need to start looking at what our body language is saying. So if you had sort of come off of that boot camp, this kind of relates to that. So Jamie was like, I just want to make sure that like what I'm saying is what I want to be saying. And she sent me the video, and as soon as I saw it, my eyes immediately went to Homer. And Homer was the sweet guy. Well, he is a sweet guy, but he was the one that he was so laid back and he was so chill, and he's such a nice dog. Like, oh, he's just such a nice dog. As I watched this video unfold, we noticed that Homer does a couple of things that really stuck out for me. One of them was a bit of a body bump, so picture the scene. Jamie's asking Daisy to disengage from an event. And she's basically like, you need to stop that now, go lie down. So she's asking her to disengage. And Homer went in and kind of body bumped her a little bit. He stood in between Jamie and Daisy. And this was the most fascinating part to me, he went over and positioned himself slightly in front of Jamie, and then like staring at Daisy. And it literally reeked of this, like, yeah, what she said, like, I'm with her, like, I'm telling you off, like, Jamie and I are on the same team, and we're telling you that you need to get to your bed. And I was like, how interesting. And I mean, I was obsessed with this video. I watched it over and over and over again. And what's fascinating about it is I think these are the little tiny things that we don't look at. We don't look at the quiet conversations. We don't look at the guy that's not making the noise, especially when they are calm or chill or whatever, right? The hashtag just good dogs, they are still having conversations. And when we went back and looked at that, it was kind of one of those aha moments, and it opened up Jamie's world to be like, now I got to kind of look at, what is Homer saying? What kind of messages has he been doing? And shocker, is Homer maybe part of the problem? And so this is a concept that I want everybody that has multiple dogs to be aware of. This idea that leadership is not just about, controlling the dogs. It's certainly not about managing their behavior. It's about actually being observant of your pack through a different lens. It's the idea that, where we focus our attention is where we're going to see all the problems. But if we look at it from a wider lens, when we look at the pack as a whole, that is what is going to open up your eyes to all the little subtleties that are going on within the pack. And one of the things that I did mention, in the boot camp as well recently, was that we need to understand, especially when we have multiple dogs, that when I talk about that leadership scorecard, when I say things like, you got to keep track of, was that my idea? Was it the dog's idea? What are my leadership points? Part of your leadership points aren't just about how you interact with the dog in front of you. The other dogs are watching that too, right? All the dogs are watching how you respond to things. So in this case, in Daisy's case, she was getting bumped and she was having messages and nobody was hearing her. So it forces the dog that's not being heard to get louder. It forces them to have to be like, I'm going to have to make a big stink because nobody is noticing what's going on. And believe it or not, this happens more often than you think. In so many cases, I've walked into a home and went, that's not the problem. The dog you think is the problem is not the problem. The good dog in the corner that's been like eye stalking your dog, that's the problem. That's the problem. I will tell you a fun little story just before I wrap this up. This is actually Mark's story, so I'm stealing it from him because I wasn't actually there. But there was a time when my kids were smaller, and I don't remember what they did, but they were all involved in something, and Mark was giving them, the parental lecture. And as he was, lecturing to the kids, Paisley starts just shifting herself over, and she's moving herself. She still makes me laugh. She's moving herself to eventually be standing beside Mark as he's having this conversation, and she just starts nodding her head with almost this air of, yeah, you boys really need to be ashamed of yourself. What you did there was wrong. And it really it changes the dynamic, right? When you put yourself beside the one that is in charge, you are saying, I'm with them. And yes, you guys are wrong. So it happens with kids as well. And in our case, just Paisley was brilliant at always being on the side of the parents and always making it look like it was always the boys that were wrong because she's a little genius. Anyway, so I want you to sort of open up your mind a little bit if you've got a multi-dog pack. And this week, I want you to observe your pack through a different lens. So here's some quick sort of check-ins. Let's call it out. Which dog are you labeling as quote unquote the problem? Okay. And which behaviors are you focusing on the most? Because again, if those are the things you're focusing on, those are the things you're going to see. But there's a lot more going on. Okay. So after you've sort of focused on that, and you're like, okay, I am kind of really focusing on this dog. Now I want you to take a step back, widen the lens a little bit, and start to look at all of them. Is there another dog that might be creating pressure or tension in really subtle ways? For example, when your dog gets up, or when the problem dog gets up, does the other dog take their space? When they are they stepping in between you and that dog? Like there's going to be some subtleties, and maybe you might not recognize it. Maybe you're like, I don't know if this is a thing or not. Just jot it down. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but just start to notice, are you catching the full conversations or just the loudest bark? Right? That's what I want you to focus on this week, right? Because how interesting. So that's your kind of homework if you got a multi-dog. If you're got a single dog and you're like, thank God I only got one dog, keep in mind, as I say, I want you to sort of jump into the rest of the series because this is canine conversation. It doesn't necessarily mean it's just between dogs, right? Dogs only know how to communicate like dogs. They don't have any other way to communicate. They're very adaptable and they learn obedience and all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, they communicate like a dog. So you can start to see these kind of discussions and behaviors around other people, your husband, your wife, your children, whatever, right? You're going to start to see that everywhere. Okay. So Let me know if you enjoyed this. If you're like, why hasn't Tracy done this series before? I don't know. I don't know. I should have done it before. I've wanted to do the course before, but now we're doing it as a podcast series. So you're welcome. You're welcome. There you go. All right. I think that's it for today. Listen, if you're like, I'm loving this kind of stuff and I really want to break down behavior like this, I'd love to get Tracy's eyes on some of the videos. I'm going to start recording some of my dog's behavior and really start to get into this. Then I want to encourage you to jump into the Fearless Framework. I'm telling you, friends. I'm telling you, get into that Fearless Framework, because if you like this, oh gosh, you're going to love the Fearless Framework, because that's what we do. That's what we do. We meet monthly. We have a monthly Zoom. We chat. We get together. We analyze videos. All sorts of great stuff happens inside that program. Fearless Framework, you can get that boot camp special. Why not? Get $50 off of it for sure. Go to beyondobedience.ca/special if you want to grab that, and use the coupon code bootcamp. And hey, even if it's past October 19th when you hear this, give it a try. This is me ratting myself out. Give it a try, because I'm not going to lie. I always forget to turn the coupon off. Full disclosure. I don't have a team of tech whizzes in the background that are helping me out with this stuff. It's just me and Paisley. We're just literally just white knuckling it through this tech stuff. So take advantage of the fact we don't have someone in the back end that does all the technical stuff for us. You probably will still get the $50 off. Try the coupon code bootcamp. Just try it and see what happens. All right, my friend. Listen, if you like this kind of stuff and you like the podcast, please do me a favor. Take 30 seconds to give me a 5-star written review on Apple. Really helps push the podcast out. Leave me a comment on Spotify. And as always, get out there today, my dog-loving friend, and be the person that your dog thinks you are. Because your dog thinks that you're amazing, and so do I. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now. Oh, and one more thing. This podcast is meant for entertainment and education purposes only and is not meant to replace hands-on professional training. If you're really struggling with your dog, please reach out to a professional in your area. All right, I think that's it. Bye for now.